Now recording. So hello to the stream. We are live. I am Pat Luther. I'm a science fiction and fantasy writer, and also a publisher. And with me is Deborah Reeves. And go ahead, take it away. Oh. Including both of mine. So, yeah. So, if anybody was still here who was tuned in earlier, you were listening to Thoughtless, which was narrated by Deborah Reeves. Yeah, so let's see here. Started. Oh, we've got. Oh, somebody's saying they can't hear Deborah. Oh, I can hear you, but they can't. But you can hear me. MZ Mojo. Oh, MZ Mojo, yeah. Thank you and welcome. And let me fix that so that everybody else can hear her. And thanks for letting us know. So, sources Discord window. Oh, I bet I need application audio capture too. From Discord window? No. Okay, give me a second. Getting there. Let's see. Application audio capture. I have not streamed from Discord to Twitch before. So, that's here. New application. Name Discord. Okay. And it should be... Okay, Deborah, say something.
Hello, hello.
How's that? Can you hear her now?
You hear me now?
Still waiting for MZ Mojo. Who's thank you so much for letting us know this.
Thank you.
Yes. Yay! Thank
Yay!
you. Yay.
Right.
And thank you for your help.
So I'm a voiceover talent with a cold. So, anywho, and an audiobook producer, and voiceover producer, and also a performance coach. And I narrated two of Pat's books, Thoughtless and Yellow Tape and Coffee.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start off. We've got some, and I have lots of questions for you too. So, anybody else who's on there, feel free to toss in questions as we go. So let's see. When you're creating an audiobook, there's two ways, right? You can hire somebody else to do it, or you can do it yourself. Because I think that's true for pretty much everything. So hiring. So let's talk first about making your own, right? Because this is something you have helped several authors do.
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit about that process and what they need to know?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So, I've worked with a lot of authors who have narrated their own books. Some of them through major publishers, and some of them publishing it on their own and working directly with me. And some of them, they recorded it on their own, and then I edited it later. You could say working with a publisher is easier. And of course, if they have a budget and they care about you, it's a little bit easier. But if you want to do it on your own, then you need to invest in equipment like microphones, some sound treatment, soundproofing. So that's great for people who maybe already have a podcast going on. Maybe you're already making content. Maybe you have several audiobooks in line. This might be more in the self-help realm, I would guess. Otherwise, you can hire someone like me and hire the studio and come in, and that's very nice because then you don't have to set all this up. You can just come in and be the talent. And I read along with you and speak up if I hear something that doesn't quite match the text. But luckily, as the author, you get a little more leeway if you want to change something. Or you can, hire someone else to do all of that.
Right. and that's what I did because I wanted it to be good, so I didn't want to read it myself. Um, so, and we'll go into that process a little later too, because that's
Yeah.
an involved process to do that.
Yeah. And some authors, they are writing from a perspective that it needs to be their voice. They really feel like it needs to be their voice. Maybe they already teach. Maybe they already share, yeah, are content creators, and maybe they, um, yeah, again, self-help, memoirs. A lot of times people want to read those themselves, and sometimes they don't. It's cool. And then there's some who write fiction who it's just their dream to narrate themselves, and they're not sure if they're going to be allowed to. And it's like, yes, people love hearing the authors narrate their own books.
Yeah, a lot of people really prefer that. I still, yeah, like I said, I didn't want to do that myself because, and for one, it is a lot of work, even if you're narrating yourself. Um, and let's see. So, okay, we talked a little bit about studio, and
Yeah.
you need like, so how if you're gonna do it yourself and you're just having you're an author, maybe a self-published author with basically no budget, um, what would you recommend for starting out?
Hey. So, if they want to do it themselves or just in general?
Just themselves, yeah.
Okay.
Let's start off saying that they're going to do themselves because they can't even afford a narrator, which
Well,
a
there
lot
you
of
go.
self-published authors cannot.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Well, you can go about doing it yourself. You're going to need some sort of microphone. So you can go as simple as uh, getting a USB mic. I wouldn't necessarily recommend like a headset, but do what you gotta do. Uh, um, so one of the online publishing distribution sites is called ACX, acx.com, Audiobook Creators Exchange, and they are owned by Amazon, and it feeds directly to Audible. So if you want to sell an Audible, you have to upload it there anyway. But they've got you can record a little sample and send it in, and they'll let you know whether or not the quality will work. So that's nice. Um, Especially because you don't want to get going and then you're like, oh, now I can't
sure.
upload it because no one will accept listening to this.
Yeah, I guess yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to do that after 72 hours of work on it. Um,
Yes. And it is a lot of work. I mean, if you think about it, for professionals, we assume it's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio for recording, meaning if it's going to be 1 hour when it's all done, we assume 2 hours. And that's for professional narrators. Um,
and that's just
if
for
you're lucky.
recording.
Yeah, that's just for the recording. That's not even the editing part. So I mean, think about it that way. Like it's a big time commitment. And if you're really doing it yourself and there's no one like listening in, double checking your work, um, yeah, it's hard. Um, and then there's the editing part. So let's say you recorded it all, now you got to edit it. Fail.
Yeah, and that's a lot too. A lot
It's
of
a
editing
lot.
and a lot of proofing. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, and we'll get into that later when we get to the working with the narrator part. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got some equipment, you get a good soundproof thing. There's you can also hire a studio or rent a studio. Um,
Yes.
and I have heard libraries will often have recording studios.
Oh,
So that's
that is
one
a
thing to look
great
for.
idea. That's a great idea. Library, that's wonderful. They might have, yeah, a booth that you can use for however much time at a time. And, maybe you only want to work like 1 or 2 hours at a time because it is a lot of work. So that's a great idea. You can also see if there's any schools around that
Oh,
teach audio production that maybe you can hook up with a student. It's like that's a gamble, but hey, it's got to be better than just doing it yourself and y'all get experience.
yeah. Okay. Let's see here. So we got set up. We got resources. Oh yeah, local studio, library. Yeah, a lot of places have local studios. I'm not sure if it's the same studio that musicians would use. Um,
Maybe.
because I know that musicians can rent studio time, and that often comes with an engineer. So there are engineers who work at the studio, and you can hire them at
Mhm.
the same time as you lease the studio time.
I'm so happy you brought that up
Oh,
because that is a very good point. If you contact a studio and say, "Hey, can I record my audiobook there?" They're going to say yes. That does not mean that their room is set up to record an audiobook. That just means, yeah,
oh,
we can record. Yeah, we can edit. That doesn't mean they've had experience doing it.
yeah,
Ideally, you're in a space like this that's got some sound treatment in it so it doesn't sound very big and live. But you know what? I've definitely edited audiobooks that were recorded in spaces that were big and live and echoey, and it's unfortunate, but it's
right.
out there. So
So,
you can always ask for a sample, like, hey, can I hear any work you've done in the past, or can I hear a sample of how your room sounds? Um, it's perfectly reasonable to vet the studio to like look around. You can do the clap test, see if it resonates around, or see if they've got stuff called gobos or baffles that they can bring in and kind of surround you with. Um, and yeah, seeing is the engineer included because you really need to know, is that an extra cost? And then do they do editing, or is that something you want to do? And if you want, we can also talk about the idea of rolling punch, which is a way to make your editing life or their editing life easier later, but it's a different kind of way of recording.
oh, okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in that actually, because I never heard of that. So,
Oh, cool. Yeah, so there's
yeah,
like
let's do that.
two major ways to record. One is just I just call it like a roll record where you just like hit record, you let it run, and then ideally, hopefully the engineer is taking notes. So you need to provide them with a script. Either digital PDF or a printout, but digital on an iPad or something is best these days because it's a lot quieter than paper. But hopefully they're following along and taking notes. And I have little special markings that I can always share with you. For like when there's a retake, I make a slash. 5 retakes, 5 slashes, so that later I know like, oh, I messed up 5 times, or they messed up five
Oh,
times. I better skip ahead a bit to get that edited down.
right.
But a rolling punch is, or punch and roll, is where you make a mistake. Instead of continuing on, you stop the recording, you back it up a little bit, you let the narrator hear a previous sentence, and then you start recording where the mess up was, and they start reading from that point. So you're
Oh,
editing as you go. And some people
hmm,
take very well to that, but there are some personalities that just cannot handle it. So that might be knowing yourself, like, can I do this? Can I stop and re-record and stay calm and not get flustered or angry?
right. How will you handle somebody constantly telling you no, 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 or don't do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's other things to think
So,
about too, like what are you wearing? You want to wear quiet, comfortable
oh,
clothes. This is not a time for business casual or nice button-up shirts and stuff because that's all very noisy. This isn't athletic wear time. That's also very noisy. Nice cotton clothes in layers because whether you're working on your own in your home or at the library or at a studio, you don't know if it's going to be hot or cold or both. Um, and they're gonna stop you for, like, fidgeting. They're gonna stop you if you, like, hit the stand. Uh, they're gonna stop you if you're, rolling all
right.
around, getting comfortable, like, these little things, like, it's hard work to just, like, kinda stand or sit still or stand still, and, yeah.
Yeah, you're making me very conscious about how I'm doing right now. But yeah, because as I get closer and further from the microphone, I notice as we're speaking,
Right.
um, and that
Yeah.
would be a big deal if you're doing a recording of an
Mhm.
audiobook.
And,
So,
I'm sorry, go on.
oh, sorry. Okay, so you mentioned you've done it in like a big echoey room.
Yeah.
Um, Now, is that something you can fix or at least compensate for in editing afterwards? Is this a fix it in post thing, or is that possible even?
Right. I mean, ideally, and Pat I'm assuming you have this experience where fix it in post is like, don't do it. That's the worst
Right,
thing
yeah.
you can do. We'll fix it later is like, minimize that as much as possible. Um, there are some plugins you can use, like Isotope is this amazing program, and it's got some of the best noise reduction software. I use it for mouth declick because you'll notice when you get on the mic, you can hear everything. You're very horrible. So that takes a lot of that out. But there is a de-reverb. It sounds terrible. I hate it. I try and avoid it as much as possible, but uh, because yeah, it just doesn't
But it is a thing. Yeah.
sound great. But yes, it is a thing. It is a
Okay.
thing.
But
But
not
at some
great
point,
yet.
you just have to embrace the sound that you have, and you can try spinning it in a certain way. I've heard of
Right.
a famous person who was doing their audiobook, and they only wanted to read from paper, and back in my day when you read from paper, you had to stop at page turns, because the page turn, otherwise it's going to come through on the recording. So you'd have to like pause, turn the page, and then start reading. Well, he didn't want to do that, and he would just throw paper on the floor. So he'd get through a page and throw it on the floor. So they had to market it as it's so real. He's reading right to you from the book.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because you mentioned the different studios will have their own sound. Because I know sometimes musicians will seek out specific recording places. Um, there's a famous asylum, I forgot where, that I've seen a dozen different bands record in,
Cool.
because the acoustics are so uh, unique, I guess, in that space.
Yeah, just interesting. That's
But
cool.
that's probably not what you want for spoken word, I would think, a lot of times.
Yeah. So you can look for, well, do you have an ISO booth that I can sit in? An isolation booth, which would just be a smaller room,
Mhm.
kind of like this. Um, do you have a B room? Do you have like some sort of smaller space? Um, do you have a friend's closet that you can go
Yeah. Yeah, I've listened to I've heard in the past when I've done the original version of this presentation.
in?
One of the things I mentioned was soundproofing the closet at home, but I've heard samples from such a thing since then, and I would not
Mm.
really recommend it that highly. I mean, it is a thing, if you have zero budget and you're really trying to get by, it is a thing you can do, but I would strongly recommend once you've set it up, record a little bit and listen to it very carefully. And some things you have to listen to a dozen times. Um,
Yeah.
and well, I'll talk about more of that with the audition process because that was funny.
Oh,
That was fun.
yes,
But
yes.
sorry, but so resources, software. You mentioned okay, so we've got sound editing software.
Yeah.
Almost everybody I know uh, has used a program called Audacity. Everybody used Done Recording, which is a free
Yes.
open source software, and a lot of people really like it.
Mhm.
And you use something different yourself, right?
Yes.
But
Yes, I use Pro Tools, but again, that's because I come from the pro audio world, and so Pro Tools was at least, probably still is, but industry standard of the software you'd get in a recording studio. Audacity is fantastic. Again, it's free. It's a pretty low learning curve, which is nice because you're like, what am I doing? Okay, I hit the big red button. Cool. A track just opened up. Um, Pro Tools now has a fantastic free version.
oh,
The learning curve is a little steeper, but it's way better for editing. It's way easier to edit in Pro Tools, I think, than in Audacity. But I mean, there's plenty of YouTube tutorials out there, I am sure, on how to make Audacity work well for you. But,
oh,
both are
or Pro
free.
Tools,
Oh.
yeah. Right. Okay. This is not one of them, so we're going over the process, but not necessarily exactly how to do everything.
Yes, sir.
But that is the place that you can go to. Let's see. What's next is the whole process. So there's a lot of record, edit, and repeat And I really strongly recommend that too, just because. So when I hired Deborah to do the audiobook, I did the proofing of it, and she sent me a chapter at a time, and I really liked that, and I would really recommend that if that's an option when you hire a recorder, is to do the proofing yourself, a chapter at a time like that, and then because that way I could give her feedback, she could give me feedback in real time, relatively real time. And before you get 6 chapters into a voice you don't like the sound of, she can make changes, which she did. So thank you. Let's
Yeah,
see.
Michael's dad took several
Oh yes,
several rounds.
that was a couple. Yeah,
It's like, oh, that's a little too cartoony. That's not quite right.
yeah. There's a few things that you came across completely different than I was expecting. I love, there was a one character, just kind of as an aside, that popped up. The Tillamook County Sheriff,
Oh yeah.
who was, I loved the way you did. It's like I love this character. He was in one scene, is throwaway character, not throwaway, but not a major character. He was in a scene to deliver some information and to be a slight foil to Michael at one point. So he had a couple different roles in the one scene, and I just wrote him for that scene. And I never thought about him after that until I heard the recording. And it's like, oh my god, I got to use this character more. Just
That's awesome.
so that kind of thing happens. So that's one of the joys of working with a narrator instead of doing it yourself too. Aside from considerably less work.
Yes. Yeah, and
So
not every author wants to listen through, and often when you get the big publisher, I don't think you even get the option. I'm not sure, like it all goes through
yeah,
other
yeah.
processes to get done.
Every
But of
trad.
course, you can always demand it.
Oh, okay. Every trad published author I've spoken to, which is a few,
Yeah.
like four
Mhm.
or five, somewhere around there that I've heard from directly, it was the publisher sent everything to the narrator, and the first time the author heard any of it was after it was all completed and done. So
Yeah.
they got the version that everybody else was going to hear, and they had no input into it, or no, if they didn't like any of it, it's too bad because
Yeah.
and that's the joys of traditional publishing. Is
Yeah, the first two
don't get to do that.
audiobooks I worked on were two in a series, and the second round I got feedback from the author finally, because she'd worked through a producer who hired me, and I sent everything to the producer. Oops. Anywho, she's like, "Oh, I hated the main character a lot less this time." I'm like,
Why?
"I had a whole other book. You
Right?
hate it?" Okay.
Only after the second book. Oh, that's yeah. So that's why I recommend that. And if
I
you're doing it
hated the
yourself,
character
even
too.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
but even if you're recording yourself, record, edit, repeat. Like record a little bit, then edit it, then record more. Because if
Yes.
there's something going on with the recording, maybe there's, I don't know, we've got a fan going, or there's some kind of noise, or there's anything you don't like about the recording, it's better to not find out about it after you've done 72 hours worth of work,
So true.
or whatever, or 24 hours worth of recording, because
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes it's a technical thing. There's just like a glitch going on, or uh yeah, the mic turned the wrong way.
yeah, or you
Yeah,
realize you
it's
move
funny.
a lot
Yeah.
doing this, and squeak your chair and click your pen and move. And
Hmm.
moving forward and backwards from the microphone is going to vary the level of the sound,
It does, yeah.
which is going to vary the volume, which is going to be annoying to readers if they hear that, or listeners if they hear that.
Yes, we all know this.
Yeah.
Um, um, if you do hire an author, I should say, if you do hire an author through ACX directly, which is one of the many ways, or a narrator. Did I say a narrator? Anywho, if you
Narrator.
hire
Yeah.
a narrator through ACX directly, they do have a function in there that they have to send you a 15-minute sample for you to approve.
Oh.
Um, and you can, if you don't go through ACX, you can still demand that and say, hey, I want to hear 15-minute, 30-minute, whatever sample of what you're doing. Um, if you don't want to go through the whole book, or you can like
Mm.
ask for updates. So yeah, there's options. But I loved our work relationship, and that's my favorite way to do it, to have the author listen, and even when they read it themselves, just like, sorry. And at
Hmm.
the end, the author's usually like, you know what? At the end of all this, I'm okay with my voice.
Ah,
I like it.
awesome. Okay. Yeah, I still can't stand here. I've been doing I do a lot of Twitch broadcasts, and
Mm.
I can't stand to listen to them afterwards. I put them up. I listen to enough to make sure it's all there, but I can't. I can't handle that.
Hey, I get it. I love my
So,
narration voice. I hate my regular talking
oh,
voice. So if I listen back to this, I'll be like, oh, go.
right.
Oh, no.
Okay. Let's see. So yeah. Oh, speaking of ACX, so the other big distributor, there's ACX and there's Findaway, who are the two
Mm.
big players in the audio market. Um, there's others, but those are the two that I use. And after I did a bunch of research into all of them, and chose just those two. ACX, uh, as you mentioned, is owned by Amazon, and it distributes to Amazon. So if you go to Audible, Audible is the Amazon's audiobook thing, um, which is, or it was up until very recently, the biggest distributor of audiobooks.
Yeah.
Um, until last year, I would say 90% of my sales were through Audible and 10%
Oh, wow.
through every other platform on earth. Spotify is very quickly overtaking that now, which
Mm.
is why I'm glad I
Hmm.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
so
that's
you're
why I did
glad
not
with the
go.
royalty option you chose.
Yes, I'm glad I did not do the 7-year contract with Audible.
Oof, yeah.
Because yeah, I'm not sure they're not the only player anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spotify's huge. Audible still pays better than Spotify, but yeah. And Findaway also distributes to everybody else. So like if you want your book in libraries, which mine is, you can get Yellowtime Coffee and Thoughtless through your local library, which I love. And you have to go through Findaway Voices to do that, or through one of the others. There's a couple. There is, I forgot the name of it, but there's, and it's relatively new, an audio distribution platform. It does just audiobooks
Mm.
just to libraries. It might be a
Oh,
subset of Biblioteca or something, but if that's something you're interested in, you can look at that. But if you put it on Findaway, they'll automatically send it to the libraries too. So
nice.
that's there. Yeah, we talked about the iterative process. So
Mhm.
hiring a narrator. Okay, and I guess we talked a bit about already about narrating yourself by hiring a professional engineer. So
Yes,
that's
highly recommend that.
yeah.
Both are an investment. Yeah, I don't know, just quickly. So there's a couple different ways you can go about it. One of it is working with an audiobook producer or a production house as the author, but through that, you as the author might be discouraged from narrating your own book because to make it the most cost effective, they want to make sure that the recording and editing is as short a process as possible. So they want to hire a sure thing, which would be a professional narrator that they've worked with, versus the author who is a question mark, which is a bummer. So if you do want to do it yourself, and you're being told no, you might want to go out and get a second opinion. Um, I do recommend if this is great for public speakers, great for people who make content, great for people who are used to speaking with other people. It's not as great if you don't really do that. If you're not a strong out loud reader. Uh, but yeah, you can get some honest opinions.
Yeah.
But yes, go on.
Oh no, that's good. Let's see. So if you do hire a, okay, so yeah, but if you're doing it yourself and you hire a
Yeah.
professional engineer, then that's a much better way of doing things.
Yeah.
Or it's
Recommend
a
that.
way of doing things. Sorry, it's that's not what I did. Of course, because I didn't want to narrate it myself, and I didn't want to do the engineering either because I don't
Yeah.
know anything about that, and I realized that'd be a huge learning curve that I didn't necessarily want to go down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a, a lot of the stuff that I've learned about it, and that information I'm sharing is stuff I've learned as we went. So I didn't know a lot of stuff before we started the whole process. Like the
Exactly.
the whole
What?
thing about proofing, right? Proof yourself. If you're an author and you have the option to proof it yourself, I I would not have thought of that, or thought that that would have been the best way to do it. But I can't imagine ever doing it a different way now.
Yeah, I could have just handed you the whole audiobook and you'd be like, okay, great. And then there's a problem like, oh man,
Right.
can I even reach out to her for a change? Yes, yes, you can.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, let's talk about that with working with a narrator.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I did reach out to you for changes a lot,
Yes.
several times. There was in the edition even. I so when I okay, let's actually sorry, I'm getting way ahead of this with the edition part, but let's talk about the let's see, the cost and time first.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
so when you're
Yeah.
hiring a narrator, there are a few different ways of doing it. You can pay them directly, or both Findaway and ACX have options where you can do a revenue share with the narrator. I didn't want somebody else's income being dependent on my marketing ability, so I didn't do that because you would not have gotten nearly as much if I had done that, if you had done a 50-50 split. Um, it takes a while for an audiobook to pay for itself, if it ever does.
It does.
It takes a lot of marketing for it too, which
Even for the major publishers, like this isn't they're more investing in building audience and investing in the future. They're looking at making all these audiobooks as investments more than as money makers. So a consideration. But yes, so
yeah, Amazon will make a lot of money off of it.
yes, 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 yes.
But the author may not. Yeah. So, and when you do that, so you can do that, and when you hire, there's also you mentioned in our notes here the per finished hour or hourly. So,
Yes.
and when I was looking at people's quotes, so when I was auditioning people, a lot of them had different quotes for things, and they all were different. Some of them were an hourly, some of them were per finished hour, some of them were for every 15 minutes, some of them were by number of words.
Yep.
So it varied a lot, and there doesn't seem to be any real standards in pricing. So or how things are priced. So be careful when you're looking for things, and if somebody's offering you $50 an hour, that may not be
Yeah,
as
ask
great as it
questions.
sounds. Right.
Yes, ask lots of questions. You want to make sure 50 an hour or per finished hour. How many hours do you plan on this taking? Um, which we can, yeah, talk some math. So,
Yeah. So like
uh,
uh,
mm,
yellow tape and yellow tape and coffee is about 24 and a half hours long. This audio, which is a very long audiobook. And it's 212,000 words.
oh, yeah.
Um, and then Thoughtless was just over 10 hours, I believe.
Mm,
And it is about 100,000 words. So
mhm.
figure what, about 10,000 words an hour?
Yeah,
Um,
that is a good cheat to assume 10,000 words per finished
per finished hour.
hour.
Oh, yes,
And
that's
yeah,
not for
we
hour of
call it
working on it.
yes. Yeah, and it's like, oh, we have to make that distinction of the per finished hour. And like I said, we assume a 2-to-1 ratio for recording. So we're assuming it took me 50 hours. It took longer because I had to redo a lot of stuff. And I
Sorry.
lost my voice at one point. No, not your fault. I was also listening back like, I want to redo that. But yeah, if I charge you hourly, 50 an
Ooh,
hour, yikes. Uh, versus the per finished hour, which is what we're doing.
right.
Which per finished hour is nice because it incentivizes uh I think it incentivizes everyone to get this done efficiently.
Well, right. And
Um,
also,
so
yeah,
if
it's
you
also more
are,
predictable.
yes,
Which is
exactly,
nice.
because it's like plus or minus 30 minutes versus like took you how long to do that? Um, so yeah, assume 10,000 words for one finished hour. Another nice thing about if you work through ACX to find your narrator and stuff, you put in your word count. So you do want to know your word count, and it will do the math for you. Sometimes people will give me page numbers, and I just assume 2 minutes per page. So if it's a 500-page book, which I do believe Yellow Tape and Coffee was, I assume.
About 700 pages.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I assume
732.
1,400.
Yeah. But anyway,
And
sorry.
do the math. You do the math. So, anywho, let's see. So when you're hiring a narrator, per finished hour, I think is the best, or royalty share. The revenue share is great. I think you can do the hybrid agreement where it's like, okay, I'll pay you this amount, like a smaller amount per finished hour plus revenue share. I think that's nice for everyone involved, potentially. Um, but if you are narrating it yourself, you can find a studio and an engineer to offer you a per finished hour rate. I personally, if I'm working with with an author, I charge them hourly because of that unknown factor. I don't know if it's gonna like take forever with lots of editing, and I'm seeing my pay amount per hour go down, down, down. But also in other cases, I've given the estimate, and I worked with one guy, one author. He's one of my favorites because when I said your book's gonna cost like 10 grand, he's like, really? I thought it was gonna be 20. I'm like, oh, I love you. Hi, let's work together. And it ended up being like 7,200. So fantastic, below budget. That was
That's
also
cool.
a
Yeah.
24 or 25-hour long book, by
Oh,
the
wow.
way.
Okay.
That was also a very long book.
Yeah. So these kinds of things can get expensive.
Yes.
When I was researching it, also I found most quotes, and this was 5 years ago, so they may have changed,
Mhm.
but most people were quoting between 200 to 400 per finished hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's where
was
it's kind of worth doing. And your narrator is going to be worth working with.
right.
It is an
Oh,
investment, but the lower your budget, the lower your narrator
yeah, that includes
quality.
that's hiring the narrator too.
Yes.
So that includes you doing all the narrating and
That
the
yeah, that's
engineering.
assuming they're doing the narrating, the
Yeah.
editing, all of that. They might outsource the editing. So okay, let's say you record it yourself. You're an author, you record it yourself, you find someone to edit it. You can find people who edit audiobooks for like, say, 75 per finished hour or something like that. So, hey, that's a lot less than then they're doing their thing. Again, personally, hourly.
Right. And yeah, sorry, there's the little thing popped up on the chat, but it was
Oh,
just it's scrolling around. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, who's there? I see there's a few people watching us now. So if you do have any
yay.
questions, let us know. Go ahead and drop it in the chat, and it'll pop up, and I'll occasionally notice um, and read it. Let's see. So sorry, I was trying to get to our notes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so for the provision hour, okay, so talking about time, we touched on that a little bit. You mentioned about a 2-to-1 recording, or 2-to-1 ratio for recording, and then another 4-to-1 ratio for editing.
Yeah, assume 4 to 1, 4 hours to edit every 1 hour of finished content. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good
So,
assumption
like, if you
because
have,
you have to go through the 2 hours of recorded content for the one. So it's, yeah.
so if
But the,
you're,
mhm.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, but the better you know your own content, the less mistakes you make, the less editing there is, and the faster it all goes.
Oh, yes. So if you have like a 10-hour book, you can expect, what, about 60 hours worth of work on it, or so,
Yeah.
if that's,
Yeah.
or hopefully less, but possibly that much.
Yeah.
Let's see. So yeah, so if you're narrating a book or you want to get into the field and you're going to be doing the narrating and the engineering for other people, make sure to take all that into consideration when you set your prices.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see, per finish line. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I mentioned per finish hour standard when hiring a narrator, but you say that it's very common for engineering too. If you're hiring just the engineer and
It can
narrating
be.
yourself.
It can be. And some publishers, audiobook publishers will request per finished hour quote from the studio and the engineer. Just in general, I've always pushed back and been like, no. And then they go somewhere else and find someone else. So there are people out there, just, gotta do the research and find them and then get samples of their work. Like, hey, can I hear what you've done?
Yeah. So okay. So it takes a while. Let's see, timeline prep. Yeah, let's talk about preparation. And did you want to talk about that? All the preparation that you need to do to narrate
Oh,
things.
yes, definitely. And I should say, when you read, for everyone, slow down.
Oh,
If you're going to be an author reading your own book, or if you're a narrator, narrators probably already know this, but just slow down, read at a pace that internally feels uncomfortable to you. If you are on the inside uncomfortable, great. That is the pace you want to read because, um, first of all, we don't hear as fast as we think. So if you're speeding along, or if you enjoy listening to books at 2 times speed or 1.5 speed, don't read at that speed though. Also, your mouth doesn't work as fast as you think. So you're going to make more mistakes. If you go too fast, you're going to trip over more words. You're going to find out, oh, I wrote the word additionally 1,000 times and I can't say it. Something like, there's
can't
always
say
like some
anymore.
word that it's
Right.
like, uh, anywho.
Yeah. That's
So
another thing
those,
that. Oh, speaking of that
okay.
kind of thing, a very common uh, advice for authors is to read your own work out loud just when you're editing it before it goes even to press, before you publish it. Read it out loud to yourself to edit it, and that is such good advice, which I did not follow. um,
Well, it's
which,
hard to do. Come on.
but so when Deborah was reading my audiobook, like several months after I published Yellow Tape, you reading it back, and you found a lot of things, well, several mistakes. There are actual errors in the book, and also things that I really didn't want to phrase it that way. And a
Mm,
couple of them you recommend, would this be better? And
mm,
yes, the answer was yes. So, and so several of those things I changed, so I reissued it, a new edition of
mm.
it after the audiobook was produced, for that reason. So yeah,
Because your brain
reading
is
out loud.
amazing.
Hmm.
You read it in your head, and your brain makes all the edits.
Yes.
So when you read it out loud, then you hear it, and you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, and
Right,
hearing somebody
right.
else read it also helps a lot doing that.
Yeah.
So,
And, it doesn't always work out that way, but when it does, it's wonderful to be able to make those changes. I've worked with lots of authors who are narrating their books who are like, "Oh, make a note before this goes to print.
oh,
You need to change that." Um, so yeah, and also expect that there will be a round of pickups. This is also good to know as if you're hiring a narrator, the narrator assumes there will be pickups. So it's ideally you're not saying re-record the whole book. That's why you check in and you hear it. But there will be times where we're all human, we make mistakes. I am assuming if you're interested in this, you're not going to do AI voices. So we're all human and we make mistakes. Um, Anywho, so yeah, there'll be a problem. Maybe you got the character wrong. Maybe, yeah, I mispronounced something. Maybe you said million, but the word is hundred. There's just wild things like that. So we all assume, okay, we're going to get a list of pickups and it might take a couple hours to get through. It's totally fine and it's assumed. But then also, if you're narrating this yourself, assume that within the budget that you're going to need a couple hours of additional studio time and then editing it in. Um, However, when I work on books, it's my favorite when we have like maybe 3 pickups. Like, We did good. Anywho, um,
Yeah, so if you're working with an area, don't be afraid to ask if there's something you really want
yes,
changed.
yes,
So the proofing
Brett,
process. So when I got the
yes.
chapters from Deborah, I would read them or listen to them, usually while walking around or doing something.
Mm.
Often while walking on my treadmill back when I was, doing that better. Because I get into those things and they don't last. But I did a lot of listening to it on the exercycle. That's what I mean. And so
Nice.
I first just listened to the whole thing, and just for kind of an overall tone and the voices and everything. And then I would do a second pass where I sat at the computer with the manuscript in front of me and read it while listening to it.
Yeah.
And that's where I did the really detailed, okay, this word is not there. This word is used 3 times in a row, which was in the original manuscript, but it shouldn't have been. Um, Things like that. So, I mean, there were several things that, you made a few mistakes because you are a human. I made several mistakes, and there was probably half and half, I think, of stuff that it's like, yeah, you didn't read that one right. You missed a word here. You added an extra word there. And other things that I added an extra word there. And there are several things where you added a word there, but it should have been there. So that's good. So I changed the manuscript. I changed the manuscript a lot. Like I said, listen
Oh,
to
wow.
this. Probably every chapter had at least 1 or 2 changes in it.
Wow.
Um,
It's a big book.
so yeah, it is. Yellow tape especially. Thoughtless less so, because I did do a lot more editing on it myself
You did a
before I
lot of math.
I did a lot of math. Yeah, yeah. That was,
Um, yeah,
but
you were I first of all, I love that you opted to listen to it twice.
oh
But that your first round was a passive listen for just entertainment purposes.
yeah,
Because I do think your ear picks up a lot of things when you're not like actively in the zone listening, but when you're just like half distracted, and then it's like, huh, that
yeah.
was weird.
Well, that's when
If
you
you if
hear
you
the
get that little,
that's when you like you
"Hmm,
hear the voice. Like
yeah,
there's one point Michael's father you mentioned,
yes,
who I wanted you to change his whole voice after you recorded it, um,
yeah,
which fortunately was not in a very big scene. Um, so I didn't have to ask her to recharge it or re-record an entire chapter.
thank goodness. Oh no, there's
But
horror stories of people who go through a whole book and then it's like long book like that, and then it's like that character's Irish.
oh, oh no,
Woo!
right?
So plenty of stories like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people didn't know that Amelia was Irish.
Oh no.
I mean, she was Irish. Oh, so that's another thing that you should talk to your narrator about the voices. Um,
Yeah.
so I gave Deborah a bunch of information about my characters that isn't necessarily obvious from the books. So I think you're the only one who knows the whole history of the settlement of Venus.
Oh
Um,
yes.
how would it be? And people from Careless will get more into that in Careless, which is the sequel, which I'm currently working on. Um, because they go to Venus and there's more discussion about it. But
Hmm.
so you knew, so I gave you all that information so you could figure out what the accents were and what people sound like and how things are pronounced.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want to talk about pronunciation too because that's a fun thing. So there was okay. So I had a couple of names that were in the book. Um, in the acknowledgments was my friend Zach Dubnoff, um, who I didn't think to give you. I'm so used to hearing his name, I didn't think to give you how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Um, and so apparently it's not the most common way to pronounce it, but that's how he says it. So and then my other friend VJ Lakshmi Narayanan, who I had him actually send me a recording of him pronouncing his own name because I thought that would be easier um,
Yeah.
than trying to filter it through me. Um, and then I sent that recording to Deborah to figure out who she got
Yes.
really well. And I used his name as a character in the book, so she got to say it a lot.
Yes. Yes. I get. Yeah, that was fun.
And I had to write it a lot.
Copy paste.
Yeah.
But yeah, knowing how to pronounce things is so important. I've worked with, um, let's say you're an author, traditional publishing, you're working with a director, and you're like, how do I pronounce this name? They might say, and I've experienced this before, they might say, well, you're the author. I assumed you knew.
Right.
They didn't look it up.
Yeah.
So, whether you're going to narrate it yourself or asking someone else to narrate, looking up pronunciations and sharing that um, is huge. As a narrator, and also since I've worked on audiobooks as an engineer and producer, I know about different sites that we go to cheat and look up how to say things.
Yeah, there's several sites. Yeah, let's mention a couple of them. There's Youglish. That's
Hmm.
Youglish, which I have not seen before. Forvo I go to all the time now that I learned about it. I learned about it from you while we were
Oh, cool.
discussing yellow tape and coffee. But I go there a lot to learn how to pronounce other words, not necessarily words in my book, but words that when you get in an argument with a friend about how something's really pronounced. I use that one. That's our Bible for that.
It's great for foreign language, foreign names,
Mhm.
how to say a city name in a different language or whatever. Yeah. Because they'll be like, oh, this is how you say this, but this is how they say it in Turkish. This is how they say it in Italian.
Yeah, and
um,
and also pronounce names.
oh, yeah,
And
pronounce
one I
names.
found called howtopronounce.com, and that has so in Careless there are several Somali names or derivatives thereof.
Hmm.
Um, because of the Somali influence on Venus, because that's it was their space program that originally built the cities in the upper atmosphere. But we'll get to that. That's neither here nor there. But there's a bunch of Somali names, and that's the only place that had how to pronounce all of them on it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's
I so doing this research, the research of how to pronounce stuff should be a part of what your narrator does anyway, but not everyone knows that. And your book might be the one where they learn that. And again, if you're an author, you're like, oh, I'm not narrating all the time, so this is a great way to find out, like, because there's so many words that you're like, I know this word, I love this word, I don't know how it's said. Uh, or people that you're quoting and you're like, I don't actually know how to say their name. So it's good to find that out. So doing that research. So Youglish is fantastic because it mines YouTube videos for every time that word pops up, and then you can skip
oh
through the videos and you can kind of hear a if there's a consensus or get an average, or maybe
oh
sometimes if it's
that's
a
very cool.
person, you get to see them introduced. Um, but I had an audition recently that came up where the company name, I assumed it was French, Bonjour.
Oh
But then I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it on Youglish, but I looked up on YouTube. So sometimes just going on to YouTube and typing it in. And then I saw an interview with a co-founder, and he says, "Oh, everyone thinks it's French, but it's not. It's Latin, Manger." I'm like, cool. I saved
wow,
myself from
Monter.
sounding very silly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Went to that commercial about the Mr. Dumas.
Oh, right. Yes. Or like words like there are words like mischievous. Mischievous just sounds so much better. It's so fun
Mischievous.
to say
It does.
mischievous. It's mischievous. So like I got to work with Lucky, the guy who was voicing Lucky for Lucky Charms, and there was just this talk of like, well, you gotta say mischievous because that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, what else? Okay, yeah. So, and if there's
Mhm.
other words, you can, give those to your narrator if you're hiring a narrator.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a fantasy writer and you're
Mhm.
making up all these bizarre names, as us fantasy writers do.
And what's the language that you were using in
Oh,
Thoughtless Fandango? No, is that
Esperanto.
Dan? Esperanto.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's
yeah.
several bits that are in Esperanto in Thales. So I will nod to Harry Harrison's works. But no, it's Esperanto. It's a real language, but it's a made up language. It's a artificial language that was supposed to be everybody's second language. It hasn't caught on as well as hoped, but it's still alive, and it's there are many speakers of it still. But yes, I gave you a bunch of snippets in another language, so that's another thing. If you're doing that, make sure you're yeah. So you got to learn how to do how Esperanto
Did.
pronunciation works.
Did. That was cool. I had a little chart I could follow.
Yeah. So like it's not Rakaj, it's Rokoi.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. Production options. I just have a note. This is production options. Do you know what that one was about?
uh, Production options, right? Oh,
I'm trying to remember what I was going to put there.
I
Okay.
don't know either. That's okay.
Okay, we'll skip over that part for now.
Roles, yeah.
Yeah, roles. Yeah, let's talk about all the different
Feel like we
roles. So we
covered.
got a narrator, a director, an engineer, a proofer. I guess that's
Yes.
it. Four different people who can all be the one person or two people.
Yeah.
So I guess narrator. Obviously, the narrator is the one who's actually doing the reading, right? That's whose voice you
Hmm.
have on there.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And are you going to be the author who narrates your own book? Or are you going to hire a narrator? If you are hiring a narrator, sometimes people are like, oh, I know a guy, or my friend, or whatever. Like, please make sure they've done this before, have acting experience, some sort of training, because it is, as we've discussed, a long process. And you don't want an unknown entity going in there. Also, if especially if you're an author, if you are sick, push the record date. It's okay. I worked with an author who was narrating his book, and like when he came back for pickups, I swear his voice was an octave lower.
Oh,
And we're like, oh, that's going to sound really weird. Just putting that word in there that's suddenly down here. Because he was getting over laryngitis or something when he
oh,
the recording. Um, Make sure you are, let's see, most successful author narrators I've worked with are very familiar with their content. They've read it through. They trust what they've written. It's really hard when you're like, oh man, I want to add this one thing, and then you start ad libbing, and then you find out that ad libbing meaning making up stuff. Then you find out 3 paragraphs later, oh, I do address this. Um, so that's
yes.
going to be hard editing out later.
I discovered that the first
Um,
time I did a public reading.
oh
I decided,
yeah,
I really should just add this part in there because I didn't put that in there. And then I realized, oh, yeah, like you said, 3 paragraphs later, oh, I did put that in there. I'm stupid. I should, or I'm
yes,
smart. One of those. I was smart then, not now.
yes.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, trusting yourself, practicing reading out loud.
yes.
Um, Finding words that seem to trip you up, especially if you're the author reading this, you get to change stuff if you want to. So again, if the word additionally is tripping you up, switch to also.
Well,
Fine. As a narrator, you don't get to do that, but authors can do that. Um, think about if again, I work with a lot of nonfiction self-help stuff, so they'll have charts and stuff or pictures. um, think about, do you want some language like to see do you need language to describe what's happening in the chart? Write that out ahead of time. Do you have a supplemental PDF or a website you want people to go to? Add that in. Narrators also need to change, whether you're an author or professional narrator, change all of the read as you read this book, change it to as you listen to this audiobook.
oh,
Readers
right.
will learn, listeners will learn.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I don't. I don't think I directly addressed anybody like that, but
No,
That's
no,
different for fiction
generally you
books.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Fiction generally is not a problem.
Yeah. That was kind of a hallmark of Victorian fiction. They did that a lot. Like, and
Oh,
I'm telling you, gentle readers, that blah 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 blah. Yeah,
yeah.
I've noticed that. I do a first page feedback series on my Twitch channel also,
Yeah.
and when people don't submit anything, I read old public domain works. So I've read
Oh,
the
cool.
first page of a whole bunch of like 18th, 19th century literature now because those I know are all in public domain, so it's easier.
Yeah,
And
that's
a lot of
awesome.
them will say things like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
So,
um,
yeah, we talked about
yeah.
narrators, and of course, again, hiring a narrator, making sure you hear samples, getting a custom read, which is what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my dad also is an author, and he has one audiobook now that I
Oh.
declined reading because I didn't have the time.
Oh.
I know, but like there was one person who's like, "Oh, I think I like her. I like her demo, American English." Then she sent in her custom demo, and it was with a British accent. Like, what are you doing?
All right.
But find that out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, should we go to the audition part? Like
Sure.
searching for a narrator? Sorry, it's
Yeah.
or is it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, that's a good segue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just well, actually, let's talk about roles a little bit more.
Oh, okay,
So
cool,
you
cool.
got the narrator. Sorry, because I just realized we skipped over director, engineering, proofer. So,
Yes.
director, I guess in our relationship, would that be me because I'm the one making decisions, or is that you because you're like making most of the
Uh,
decisions as you go? I don't know how that.
yeah. I think in that case that would have been me because I was directing myself,
Okay.
I suppose. Um, so yeah, when you hire a narrator, they're gonna do all that. More traditional publishing has a director, um, but also as an engineer and audiobook producer, that's what I offer. So if you go to do this yourself, you go to a studio, you're like, hey, can you record my audiobook? You don't have a guarantee that someone's actually like had experience doing an audiobook, and they're just going to let you read.
Oh.
Director is ideally, and the engineer ideally, and if they're both great, are reading along with you and are speaking up when it's like, oh, I think character should be more like this, or slow down, or you said this word wrong. So that's kind of what the director is doing. Also, hopefully, they're looking up those words and names for you. So just an extra person to have your back. You can also, yeah, if you are narrating your own book, or if you hire a narrator, you can also hire a director. But anyway, otherwise, you hire a narrator, they're doing it all. Engineer, again, they're doing it all, or they're sending out to someone, or you hire a studio, hire an engineer. Again, hopefully, they have had experience editing audiobooks.
Yeah. So
And
good.
then,
Yeah, because I remember one of the when I was first looking into this, I thought it'd be awesome if I could get like Will Wheaton to read it because
oh,
he's done
yeah.
some other audiobooks, and I looked into actually hiring him. Way outside my budget, and also it's not just him. I would have had to hire because
Yeah.
he would only do the reading.
Right.
So I would have had to also hire. I would have had to arrange studio for him to read in, and hire an engineer and figure out how to get coordinate everything. And it's
Yeah.
like so it would be a whole lot more work as well as more money than I have or had.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot more expense. Yeah, I still think it would have been awesome. But
That
I
would be
think
so
actually
cool.
I came out ahead this way because
There you go.
yeah, this is much better. No, I love the way you read these books actually because
Oh, thank you.
I'm very super happy with how everything turned out. So, but yeah. So and the engineer, so that of course, do all the
Mm,
engineering. You're doing all the editing. You're
yeah.
making sure all the sound level thingies are right. I don't know how all that works. I know
Yes, I
ACX
do.
is very
Someone does it.
particular. They have some automated things. They have like two
Good.
series of them. Because one that takes 2 hours, another that takes 2 or 3 days for them to get back to
Mhm,
you. That they
mhm.
check the whole book and make sure everything is good. And I'm not sure exactly what they're checking. other than an RMS error. Um,
Not entirely sure what they're checking either, but
okay. Oh, okay.
eh.
Yeah.
But they make sure it's like, oh yeah, this is passable, and it's insane the amount of I've heard
Yeah.
some really bad audio that's
Yeah.
out there being sold. So whatever.
Yeah. I'm notice my tolerance for audio is a lot stricter now when I'm listening to, because I listen to
Mm.
a lot of audiobooks too. So
Uh-huh.
I know, so it's like, yeah, this is. I have the Audible membership, so use
Nice. Take
those.
advantage. Use it.
Yeah. So the proofer, of course, is the person who does the proofing, and we talked about that
Yes.
already.
Yes. You can also invest in or even get a I don't know how long the demo lasts, but there's a thing called Positron, and that's what a lot of people use. It's a software where you can upload your manuscript and then you put the audio in and it flags stuff.
Hmm.
So anyway,
Yeah, that might be really cool. As a first round of proofing or something
yeah,
too would be good.
yeah, yeah. Because then
So
you double check, like, no, that was fine, or oh, you're right.
okay. So do you use that? Do you do that
Uh,
or
I personally don't. I
okay?
haven't yet. It's
Hmm.
been one of those things that's like on my, like, oh, that'd be nice, but just haven't done it. But I know a lot of other narrators who use that, and definitely major publishers use it.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, so let's go to the audition part, because this is
Yes.
the part I was actually involved in a lot. So there's a whole bunch of sites. Um, the ones I use, the big two that I got a lot of good auditions on were VO Planet and Bodalgo.
Mm. Yeah.
And there's several others that I used, or that I didn't use. Let's see, what was the other ones I used? Voice
You're
one
on
two
voiceovers
three.
and
Um,
voiceovers.com, I think.
yeah,
I saw
voiceovers.
your audition. I saw the audition on several sites.
Oh, you did. Okay.
I think voiceovers.com is over. I'm pretty sure. So
Oh, okay.
ignore that.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't like them very much, anyways. So yeah, of the 82 auditions I got,
Oh, wow.
and I narrowed it down to like 12 finalists, and then had to narrow those
Mhm.
down, and it was an iterative process. And I had an audition script. I wrote the script, or actually, I just took three different snippets from my novel.
Yeah.
Yellow Tape and Coffee has four main characters, so four point of view characters. So I wanted somebody who could handle all of them. So I put in bits from all four of them, um, and which I'm very glad I did. So I would strongly
Mm.
recommend that if you have multiple point of view characters, make sure they're all in the audition, because some people can do some but not others. Um, One of the interesting things I noticed was a split between men and women who could do voices.
Mm.
Like half of the men who auditioned, or male sounding narrators who auditioned, I guess, could not do good. They, I hated the way the female voices turned out.
Yeah.
But that wasn't true the other way. Like all of the women who auditioned could handle the male voices just fine,
Interesting.
and I'm not
Yeah.
sure, yeah, what the deal is with that. But it's, and again, this is all very subjective stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So yeah, once I got away from Fiverr, uh, pretty much all of the auditions I got were really good. Um, so there's a lot of people on Fiverr who are selling themselves as narrators, and will narrate things. Um, sorry, I've gone to Fiverr for several things. I've actually hired several different people off of Fiverr. I'm not have nothing against the site, but
Yeah.
it is hit or miss, and you
Yeah.
definitely want to get a good sample before you go there.
Yeah.
Bodalgo, almost everybody was really good, and I think same with VO Planet.
Yeah.
Um,
Both of those sites
and
vet who gets on. A lot of sites they'll just let anyone who pays.
oh,
But both Bodalgo and VO Planet, you have to audition and then pay
oh, okay,
to join.
right, yeah, and these are all free for the author, so you can post your audition on several of them, which I did. I
That's
posted
awesome.
on like four different ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's, sorry, I'm looking at my notes here about this. There's, yeah,
And then I think you said there are some people who just sent you a demo,
yes,
their voice demo, not a custom read, and then others who didn't read the whole script. Um,
Yes.
and when I read the audition script, I saw the 4 points of view. I'm like, well, I need to do all of them, and it wasn't that long,
Yeah.
but it was clear to me like you needed to hear all of it. So that is a good point to like if there's a lot of dialogue heavy book, pick a section that has the dialogue in it. Like don't just
Mm-hmm.
send the narrative portion. Um, you want to pick a couple pages or like you did a couple paragraphs from each point of view. Um, but generally, as a narrator, your audition is, I try to keep my auditions to 5 minutes, 5 minutes or less. So someone posts 10 pages, that means I only read about 2 to 3. Um, I'll read it all to like get context, but I'll only like send in 2 to 3 because it's like it's a lot of work. I don't know if you're gonna turn it off in 10 seconds. So, but in your case, because it's a guideline, it's not a rule about the 5 minute thing. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, it really needs to be
Yeah.
all of
My
it.
my edition script was actually like 3 minutes long. I say
Yeah.
only, but that's actually longer than it really needed to be. Um,
Mm.
I think I probably could have cut that in half. Um, and the authors, if you're sending out narration, um, you might want to keep that low, not just to get better additions, but also 3 minutes is kind of long because remember you're going to have to listen to this about 200 times. As various people say it, read it. So, I mean, literally 200 times or more. So, I listened to it at least once. When I finally got it down to the not final 4 people,
Mm.
I listened to it over and over, just teasing out the tiniest of details. One of them, there was this tiny hiss in the background that
Ooh.
once I heard it, I could not. I did not hear it the first like 6 times I listened to the thing, but once I heard it, I could not unhear it, and so it's just like it was just getting more and more annoying. So sorry, whoever that was. But yeah, there's. But a lot of them just had very tiny changes. I mean, on yours, the big thing was so. And I'm glad I did all 4 points of view too, because one of them I
I
didn't
think
like.
Vera
I
was
did.
wrong.
Yeah, Vera
Yeah.
was completely wrong voice.
Yeah. I thought, because I was like, oh, she's coming to a door. And then you're like, she's a police officer.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. Or she was a reporter. Yeah,
Oh, reporter. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Michael was
yeah.
the police officer, but yeah, she was
That's
talking to Michael in that scene, so I used had both of
that.
them in there. Um, but yes, so that was fun. But the rest of them were really good, and the Tony part was perfect because this was a very emotionally complex thing where Tony had a range of emotions that were conflicting, and she was trying to figure it out, but she was also trying to hide it from Carl, who she was talking to. So she's like experienced all these emotions and trying to keep them secret, but of course you can't keep them secret from the audience because that gets boring then. Um,
Right.
and so I think that part, you're the only one who just really nailed
Cool.
that section,
Cool.
which is what finally tipped over the edge between the others. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and interestingly, because I mentioned I have a mix of male and female voices,
Yeah.
so I have of the 4 main characters, 3 of them are men. So I was actually kind of leaning towards a male voice
Yeah.
narrator for that, and ended up not doing that, which worked out really well. So um, let's see. But yeah. Oh, another thing about the script, aside from not being too long, yeah, don't
Yeah.
don't don't give your narrator 10 pages to read, because one, yeah, like you said, you're probably not going to read all that. A lot of people didn't read my script at all. They just sent in things that they had already done. It's like
Hmm.
here's an example of an audiobook I already had. Several of them sent in commercials that they had done, and I hated those because the whole commercial thing is
Right.
you have you get all the sound effects going on at the same time, and you just can't hear the voice very well a lot of times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but the ones we sent audiobooks, snippets from early audiobooks they did. I did consider them, but none of them made it really into the finalists. The only ones that
Hmm.
became that final 12 all read my actual script, or at least part of it. Um, yeah, and if you have
You
10
should.
pages, I'm sorry, when?
I said, which I should. You took the time to put the script there. Otherwise, it says, please send samples. And it's like,
Oh,
okay, I'll just send
oh, it
samples.
does. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have the options. Just say, hey, I just want samples.
Oh,
Oh, huh.
okay. I didn't know you could do that. Oh, the and the sample script, the audition script, doesn't necessarily have to be a verbatim snippet from the novel, right? You can put something representative or change it a bit so that it makes more sense. Um, I Several places where I read when I was researching things recommended, make sure you give a short, 1 or 2 sentence character bio to
Mm,
the narrator so they know something about the character before they audition, and none of the sites will let you actually do that. So I wrote those up, but there's no place to put them in the script.
mm-hmm.
um, yeah. Let's see. And there's a couple of audition places where I don't recommend
Yeah.
going. Yeah, and these are all free for the narrator, for the author. I mean, I don't know if I said
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, representative, short, not necessarily verbatim, and if you have multiple POV characters, get all of them in there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, think about like, do you want your characters to have different voices or not? They don't have to.
Oh,
But some people like it, some people don't. And
yeah.
you could even say in your script, or you can just like skip over people who, are doing something wacky. But if you are an author narrating, you don't have to do voices. Um, and honestly, I think attitude a lot of times is more important than like this voice is here, this voice is here. But like it's like how do you hold yourself? It's your attitude because that comes through in your voice. And that's how a lot of the characters is just like what's their attitude. I did sisters for one, and it was like, all right, well, she's bright and she's not. So, she looks this way, she looks that way.
Oh, was that Mother or Murder of Pearl?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Murder of Pearl.
I
Yeah,
read Fifty Sisters. I like that book. It was fun.
that was fun.
But,
Thank you for your review.
oh yeah, that was it. That's my review. I like that book. It was fun. But yeah, so that was a.
Oh, I have to jump off in
Oh
5 minutes.
yes, we are reaching the end here. So we're close to the end of
Yeah, we
our
are.
thing. So did we want to? Or maybe we can just get through the rest of it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, okay, so working with the narrator, we hit proof as we go. Don't
Yep.
deliver the whole book. Back and forth. Yeah, so back and forth. Don't be afraid to ask for revisions, but also don't micromanage people. I mean, that's good in anything you ever do with, working with somebody else. But especially, I mean, yes, you are in charge as the author and the publisher.
Hmm.
You're in charge of the final product. But,
Hmm.
you're hiring a professional. Let them do their thing.
Exactly. That's what you do the work ahead of time to like trust who you've hired.
Yeah, that's what the audition process is about.
Exactly.
Is to do that. So distribution, I think we talked about ACX can find a way. There's
Yep.
others. How you get paid. So if you're an audio publisher and you put your book out there, the way you get paid is every site is different. ACX pays you a percentage by the people who purchase it. Some people purchase it with credit. Some people buy it outright. Some people they have a subscription thing where people pay by the minute they listen to, or
Mm.
Amazon pays you by the minute people listen to it, and they pay just a flat fee for an unlimited listens throughout the month. And Spotify does something like that now too. And these are all different, and they're all weird and opaque. And
Yeah.
as the publisher, really, the best thing you can do is just assume that they're being honest about it and trust them. Because I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because yeah. Let's see. And I have a checklist of all the things you need by the time you're done, right? So before you publish the edit, you're going to need all of the files. So each chapter as a separate file.
Hmm.
And you want to you want to go in and edit the metadata for the file because ACX and Findaway will both use those. And so when people are listening to it, like on their car stereo, it's going to put the name of the chapter they're in, scrolling across the bottom, which they shouldn't look at because they're driving. But it's going to be there. Let's let's see, an intro, which is the opening credits. That's going to be a separate thing, a separate file. Same with the outro, which is the end credits, the author's note, things like that can all
Yeah.
be in there, or those can be separate files as well. Let's see, front and back matter. So yeah, like and that's where you get the acknowledgments, the dedication, the about the
Hmm.
author.
And up to you if you want to include it or not.
Right. Yeah, I do. I like including it. One of the people who reviewed it said, "Thank you so much for including this because a lot of people don't." So
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, you can think about like, do you want to add in? I'm sorry. I'll just say it because I already interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
Um, do you want to direct someone to your website? Do you want to give a little warning about content? Do you want to say there's supplemental material which you can include in the audiobook? You can include a PDF that would download when they buy it, or um, do you want to promote social media? Whatever, like you can put that in. Just think about where you'd want to put it and include it.
All right. Yeah, and then let's see. Oh, also you're going to need a square copy of your cover. Um, so yeah, you've already come up with a cover for your book, which is rectangular probably. You're going to need a
Mm.
separate square one, which is 2400 by 2400 pixels. Um, your narrator bio, because you've got your author bio already, because all of the Amazon and what's it called? The
Yeah.
sorry, I'm blanking on the name. Ingram Spark. If you're a
Oh, yes,
self-published
yes.
author, Ingram Spark, when you set up all the metadata for your book, one of those things is the author bio. And when you set up the audio version, you're going to need your author bio and also the narrator bio is going to have to go in
Mm.
there, and your narrator name, of course. So get that from your narrators. You're going to need a
Yes.
separate ISBN because it's a different format. Um, and if you plan on putting it on media instead of just digital download, then
Mm.
you'll need a separate ISBN for that as well. You'll need one for the digital download and one for the
Oh, wow.
like the CD or tapes or whatever you put it on, which I don't even recommend doing. The market research I did for that said, yeah, you're going to sell 3 copies, and you have to do a print run of at least 1,000 to make it worthwhile, or to make it cost effective to
Yeah.
do them, unless you want to charge $75 per book on a CD. Yeah.
Good.
And supplemental PDF or anything else. Like, yeah, and you said you can attach
Yeah.
downloadable material with it,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah, a
didn't.
single PDF, but yeah.
But oh, okay, yeah, and I've gotten audiobooks that have those, and they're dropped somewhere in a file, which I found it once. But yeah,
There's somewhere.
they're somewhere. Um, yeah, and I think that's it. We've reached the end of what we had
Good.
planned.
Yeah.
Is there any final thoughts?
Oh gosh, I don't think so.
Okay.
But feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Should I give my email or?
Yeah, or however you want to be reached.
Oh yeah, you can find me on my website, DeborahReevesVoiceover.com,
Okay.
uh, where I sound better than this. Or you can reach out on email, deb.reeves, reeves, @gmail.com. But yeah, I'm happy to like answer questions or give an opinion on audio quality, or send over sample intro outro credits or something. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, and again, I also have a website, pluther.us. It's my website, and I'm also on Twitter and not Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook,
Oh,
Instagram, all those things. The Yeah, and if you're watching this on YouTube, so I'll be uploading this to YouTube shortly, and if you're watching it there, all these will be in the in the video description. So all the links to these will be in the video description, and feel free to drop questions there too, because I'll be reading the comments. Um, so yeah, thank you very much.
cool. Thank you for doing this, Pat. This was very fun. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks, Ms. Mojo, for our earlier technical assistance at the beginning. So thanks. Okay. Goodbye.
Ah.